Tell me if this sounds familiar. Your friend just got their third tattoo.
Your coworker showing off their new sleeve like it's a Renaissance masterpiece. Meanwhile, your Instagram feed, literally a museum of fresh ink. And then there's you staring at your perfectly blank arm. Nice.
Meanwhile, you're sitting there with completely blank skin. And for some reason, people think you're the weird one.
But here's the twist. Choosing to stay tattoo-free is way more psychologically complex than you'd think.
Over 46% of millennials have at least one tattoo. That's almost half the generation walking around with ink. But while everyone's busy analyzing why people get tattoos, almost nobody talks about the people who...
Let's start with the obvious one, permanence. But wait, before you think, well, duh, let me blow your mind for a second.
We live in a world where people will sign 30-year mortgages without blinking. Marriage? Sure, let's do it. Kids? Absolutely. Talk about permanent. But a small tattoo on their ankle? Oh no, that's too permanent.
The psychology here is actually incredible. It's called future self-continuity.
And it's this concept where some people have a really hard time connecting with their future selves. They literally cannot imagine being the same person in 20 years. To them, getting a tattoo feels like making a decision for a stranger.
And honestly, they might be onto something. Studies show that our personalities can shift dramatically over decades. That edgy skull you loved at 19? Your 45-year-old self might have opinions about that choice.
People without tattoos often score higher on something psychologists call temporal discounting awareness. Basically, they're really good at imagining future regret before it happens. It's like their brain has a...
That pause you take, that quiet moment before you move, isn't hesitation. It's not indecisiveness. It's future-focused thinking, a chance to see further and choose with clarity.
But here's where it gets even weirder. Some people without tattoos have what researchers call a fluid identity orientation. Sounds fancy, right? Here's what it actually means. Their sense of self shifts over time and in different...
These individuals see themselves as constantly evolving works in progress. They don't want to cement any part of their identity because they're not done figuring out who they are. And get this, they might never feel done.
Think about it. A tattoo is a statement. It says, this matters to me enough to make it permanent. But what if you're the kind of person who finds meaning in not making permanent statements? What if your whole philosophy is staying adaptable?
There's actually a psychological concept that relates to this, called identity foreclosure. It's when you commit to an identity without fully exploring who you are. People who avoid tattoos sometimes feel like they'd be closing off future...
Confidence can look like this. Hands on hips, steady gaze, cool, right? But plot twist, this isn't always healthy. Some psychologists suggest it can sometimes signal a deeper fear of commitment or even of really...
The line between staying open to growth and avoiding self-definition can get pretty blurry.
Now, before the tattoo-free crowd gets too defensive, let's talk about something most people won't admit. Social conformity and professional perception play a huge role here.
Despite tattoos becoming more mainstream, there's still this subconscious calculation happening in some people's brains. They're running a cost-benefit analysis. Will this affect how I'm perceived professionally?
And here's the kicker. People without tattoos tend to be more aware of social expectations and potential judgment. They care about controlling how others perceive them.
The figure exhales, shoulders tensing and then letting go, a tiny surrender of power. And permanent body art feels like giving up some of that control. Research has shown that individuals who avoid tattoos often...
They're strategic about how they present themselves to the world. They see tattoos as a variable they can't easily control once it's permanent. But let's be real for a second. Is this wisdom or anxiety?
That's the million-dollar question. Some of these people are being strategic and thoughtful. Others might be limiting their self-expression because they're too worried about external judgment.
The psychology here isn't good or bad. It's just revealing about how different people navigate social landscapes. Knowing that can make us a little more understanding, and maybe even a little kinder.
But there's one more reason people skip tattoos that nobody talks about, and it's actually kind of beautiful. Some people view their untattooed skin as a conscious choice, not a lack of one.
There's this whole philosophy around keeping your body as it came, not from a place of fear or judgment, but from genuine appreciation. It's almost like minimalism, but for your skin.
These individuals see their unmarked body as a form of simplicity, a rejection of the need to add external symbols to express internal meaning. Psychologically, this often relates to something called intrinsic identity.
The belief that who you are exists independent of any external markers or symbols. These people don't need a tattoo to remind them what they love or who they are. They carry that stuff internally, and there's something kind of powerful about that.
Screaming. In a world that's constantly screaming, express yourself, stand out, make a statement. Choosing not to participate is its own form of rebellion, but the choice has to be real.
Here's something that'll mess with your head. Some of the most meaningful people you'll ever meet don't have a single tattoo. And that's the paradox, isn't it? We've created this cultural narrative that tattoos equal depth, but meaning doesn't need a medium.
Some people feel the pull to mark a connection right on their skin. Others feel just as deeply without the ink. Neither is more attached, just differently attached. Tattoo or no tattoo?